I was invited to teach in a short film course in the Goethe Institute and Alliance Française in Dar es Salaam. And once I was invited, I researched where I'm going to. I stumbled into a report on the BBC by Vicky Ntema, a local reporter from Dar, that went with a hidden camera and caught a witch doctor on hidden camera trying to sell her body parts of albino. And what happened with her was that immediately she got attacked by the government and she had to run and escape and hide for her life. But within a week, once the story broke, a week and a half, the Prime Minister of the country went on TV and started crying and admitted it's a huge problem. And it's hundreds and hundreds of murders and hundreds of killings. So I researched all night, and by the morning I kind of, everything manifested within a dream. And I called my friend that I'm going to teach with, and I told him we're going to go and teach, and whoever's good in the course we'll keep with us and train them as our crew, and we'll make this film with the local community. And it's going to be about this boy. The name of the movie will be White Shadow, and the name of the boy will be Alias. And kind of a lot of it came, and very quickly I put a presentation, and I called my friend James, who's here. We wrote the film together and made the music together. And there was a very short amount of time. We had to write a draft quickly before I go to teach. So that happened very fast. And we went, and I was teaching the course, and we made a short film as part of the program there with a lot of people, and it opened all the doors for us because we made immediately creative collaboration. So, and building on that, we invited these people to stay with us during the casting process, and started working on the film. We did dream workshops. Basically, there's 150,000 people with albinism in Tanzania. And the person who plays the father of the boy in the beginning of the film runs a group called Albino Revolution Cultural Troupe, where they go around dancing, creating awareness for the situation. And together with his help, we did dream workshops for lots of children that came and talked about their dreams, and then we do reenactment of the dreams, and the kids that were more prone to be storytellers would stay, and we would shoot scenes with them. And in the case of Khamisi, who plays Alias in the film, he was waiting for us. He had a song he prepared from his perspective. It was already manifesting, and we were almost too late. He was waiting to make the film. It was very close to his own story. He had to escape a village to move to the big city, so he's safe. And his father abandoned him, so he had this emotional baggage that he really needed to erupt. And I remember when we were casting, and we shot a lot of tests with him. Then we told him, Khamisi, we're going to make the film with you now. And there was a girl in the room, and she said, why aren't you smiling? Aren't you happy? And he said, well, you don't have to smile in order to show happiness. And it was exactly the character. It was this boy who was kind of like a closed fist the entire time. And then we started shooting.
And you talk about the idea or the story for the film, at least partially coming from a dream, and obviously the film kind of moves from a very sort of verite style to this quite abstracted sort of dreamlike state to sort of capture its Alias's sort of mental state throughout the film. Can you talk about why you sort of wanted to use that dichotomy when you made the movie?
Well, I try not to verbalize it too much because it's a reaction to the research in a way, and it's a reaction to the collaboration with these kids and the collaboration with these characters. We convinced 2 villages to join us. We basically went and knocked on every door. We had almost no money. So, and all the money we had, we spent on the people, and we didn't get, we didn't need money. So the only way to do it, and in a way it was a blessing, because if you have money, it would pollute the process. If you start solving problems with money, then it's all about solving problems with money. And in this way, it was a creative collaboration with a lot of people that felt like they need to tell the story. And in that case, they brought a lot of their own dreams and a lot of their own sensibilities in, and then the movie is a reaction to that. Also, the script got, rewritten and adapted to working through the casting on a ferry, in a fish market, listening to how people talk and the music of the language, and so it had to sort of stay as close as you can to how you would feel it respects those people and their character and their souls and how they treat the afterlife, and all that had to be integrated.
And were you ever worried, or maybe you saw this as a benefit, as being a filmmaker and an artistic voice that doesn't actually originate in Tanzania? Was that difficult when you were approaching the film, when you were making it? Was that ever something that you were especially conscious of, and how do you think that kind of relates to how the film turned out, the fact that you are not obviously from Tanzania?
Not really, because I feel very much I don't really have a country, and I don't believe in the idea of countries, and I grew up that way, so I felt very much at home, and it also we felt very much all equal. We were all equal contributors, and allowed us to, we knew we were coming from the standpoint of collaborating creatively with everybody, so it was never a hierarchy in that sense, or a feeling. So I don't know. It didn't occur to me while I was there, and I think that's good. It didn't, because we had a great dialogue, and these people are extremely knowledgeable and smart and great collaborators.
Yeah.
And still in touch with a lot of them, and help as much as possible, because a lot of them making their own movies now because they had an experience that they saw that it's possible without much support to do that. It's just a matter of, if you bring an idea, everybody wants to share. Yeah, sorry.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, there's one just here.
How long was the editing process?
That took a while, but because mainly there was, again, it was an issue of funding. If you have to do all your syncing and translation and all, then it takes many months to just prepare the project for editing, and then you start editing, and you go through many phases. So that took 1.5 years to edit. But I would imagine that if we could afford a lot of assistant editors, it would have taken half that time.
But I read somewhere that you had 3 editors for
Well,
this film. Is that
what
right?
happened is I cut a draft. I couldn't afford editors for the whole time, so I cut a version. I worked with somebody for 3.5 weeks. I cut another version, worked with somebody, a consultant for a week or 10 days. Cut another version, worked with somebody for a month, and then finished the film by myself. Because we couldn't afford somebody for the whole time. But it was fine. It was a good way of finding people that are completing what's helping you formalize the things exactly in the points where you feel like you need help.
Anyone else? One just here.
Is the dialogue scripted, or did you do?
Yeah.
It's all scripted.
Pretty much, I'd say 80%, 84% of the movie is very close to the script. Got evolved on the set. There was things added and written into it, but everything they say either was written in Berlin or I wrote there while we were shooting. And also, we built the huts that we were living in, and we all lived there, we stayed there, we cooked there, and so everything fed into the dialogue. So, for example, instead of making catering, you go and you buy the groceries with all the mamas in the village, and then the mamas cook. So it's everybody's production. So they protect the movie in that case because it's now their film as well. And so everybody's working together on the movie. And that was something that led us in that process. So if we share it with everybody, we put the criminals, the police, the gangsters, everybody's casted, then it's everybody's film, and then everybody protects it because they want it to come out. The people that are acting in the movie are very, very close to what they are in real life. and so they know how to carry themselves for the role, and they know how to behave. The person who's the bad guy in the movie is the most hated person in Dar es Salaam. He's a police officer that tortures people for the confessions for the police. He's the head of the robbery unit. And the killers are former killers that came out of jail and needed to repent. And you know, witch doctor was a witch doctor. People know their material. But they were convinced that it's an important story to tell.
I think we have another question just here.
Yeah, has the film been released in Tanzania? What kind of reception?
I'm flying tomorrow to show the film in Tanzania, in Zanzibar and in Dar es Salaam. We did a lot of test screenings before that to make sure for credibility, language, and how they feel about it. And we've been talking to the Tanzanian Film Board about how to expose it. But from all that process, we were given a lot of confidence. The local population wants to see it, and they are very much behind it.
So for you, that actually kind of leads me on to something else I wanted to ask you about. To what extent were you conscious of the fact that you were making a film that has such a strong political dimension? Do you see it as being a political film in any way?
Well, the idea wasn't to make an issue film, it was just a character movie, and to stick to that, and to make a film about this boy and this boy's experience. And if you stay as much as possible to the experience, then it should radiate to other things and ripple to the other things you wanted to. But if you start, I think, thinking too much, too wide, then you lose. I think you gotta think only about your character and his experience, in this case, his experience, and if you stay to his experience, then it would stay, then you can ask questions later about it, instead of, you know, giving answers.
You think you said that you hosted lots of closed screenings in Tanzania. Was the reaction amongst the people who, you know, who've given you the sense that there is a public audience for the film? Was their reaction more positive than the government? So is that something you're happy to talk about?
When they see it, it's very interactive. They cheer and they shout, and it's really a very engaged way of watching the movie. And Hamisi, that's playing the lead, and James Gaio, the uncle, they just came back 2 days ago from Detroit. They were showing the movie and doing a Q&A there in Cinetopia in Ann Arbor in Detroit. We managed to fly them there, and it was very, very, very good. And they did also a small festival in Turkey together. And they're going to come to Zanzibar and also show the movie together with me. It's those closed screenings that we did gave us a lot of confidence to continue, because we invited a slice of society from pretty much everywhere, from the villages, from the intellectuals, and we got a good response.
And I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about how you cast Antoinette, because she's such a...
It was the hardest.
Yeah.
It was the hardest to find her. And actually, there was another girl that was. We saw maybe 600 girls, invited whole schools, and we shot scenes with each and every one of them. And it was grueling, but we insisted. And then when she walked in, it was very obvious that she's just something else. And she had a twin sister. It was also very, very good. But her twin sister was a little bit more feminine, and she was more of a unique character in that sense. And there was another girl that used to be an actress, who was kind of an actress on TV there, but she had bad habits and quite an attitude. And about 6 months ago, we found out that she murdered the only film star of Tanzania. She was, I think, 16 and a half or 17, and he was mid-40s, and she was his lover, and there was some sort of lover quarrel, and she was on the news for murdering him. So I was happy we didn't go with her. But what we did is there were 3 girls, and we put them all together in one scene, and then it was immediate that she is just in another place. And that through the entire filming, there was never a moment that the camera found her and she wasn't in character, and she was the most professional actor you can wish for. She would study her lines, sit and wait for it, and then come and always be prepared and always be super focused and always be in character even if she's in the background. So you can always arrive to her if you needed to, and it was a gift. But that was true also about Saloum, the little boy. It was a lot of hard work and a lot of rehearsals, a lot of rehearsals, and many takes with all these people. And everybody that you see on the screen is in the credits. There's about 500 to 600 credits of all the people in the village. And we did maybe sometimes 40 takes of these huge scenes, and we do it in master takes. So it was until we got it, but all of them believed that it's very important to get it right. And at some point, after we had such scenes, they kind of all huddled together and made sure they kind of made sure that all of them are in. They were watching that nobody's next to them is looking at the camera. They knew. And then it was everybody's movie in that sense.
Any more questions? This is obviously something that you will get asked a lot, but one name on the credits that always sticks out for a lot of people by virtue of the nature of the type of film this is Ryan Gosling's attachment as an executive producer. Could you speak briefly about...
Yeah, he saw the film after it was almost finished. And we said, how can I help? And I said, let's put the name just as an executive producer. It will help support the movie in a minor way, open it to some other avenues. But that's the extent of the involvement. We had previous work together, and in Africa at some point. We were writing a long time ago, screenplay, and some of that energy is also in that film.
So I suppose I would finish off by asking whether you feel that White Shadow kind of completes your artistic kind of experience and an exploration of this part of the world. Could you see yourself going back to make another film, and are you working on something else now? What's the...
I mean, I think when you watch them, I think it's true about everybody that watches their own work, that you only see what you didn't do right, and you only see what you need to fix, and I think you always need to improve, and you always have a lot to improve, and but you do what you can at the moment and the best of your ability within the moment, and you learn a lot from a process like this, and you want to apply it very quickly into something new, which I hope very much will happen soon. I'm working very hard for this, but there's no end result. It should never be clear. It should always be on the road, and you should always be trying to make it apply the lessons you've learned. But yeah, the process is the point, I think.
Okay. We'll have to wrap up there, but Noaz will be outside if you'd like to ask any more questions. So if everyone could give a big hand to Noaz Deshe.